Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something I know a lot of us have struggled with. When someone we love wants to lose weight, our absolute first instinct is to jump in and help them, right? It's a totally natural, really beautiful human response. But we're going to look at the surprising psychology of why our best intentions to help someone drop those pounds often completely backfire, and what the source materials suggest we should actually be doing instead.
There's a quote from the source material that really hits the nail on the head. To support is not to change the other, but to share the same pain. True support isn't about fixing your partner with facts. It isn't about handing them a strict regimen, and it definitely isn't about forcing change. It's actually about profound empathy. It's about getting right down in the trenches with them. So let's look at exactly why this mindset shift is an absolute game changer.
Okay, let's jump right into section 1. The paradox of encouragement and why cheering them on actually triggers the brakes.
You see, we've got this massive misconception that a loved one struggling with their diet just needs, a bit more motivation, a little nudge in the right direction, and some enthusiastic cheering on. But there's this invisible tug of war happening in their mind. They definitely have a natural drive to move forward. But, and this is wild, when we externally force that drive by cheering them on too hard, something counterintuitive happens. The harder you push them forward, the harder their internal fears pull back. Those fears act as mental brakes. They're suddenly terrified of failing, or they feel this deep, looming anxiety that you're rejecting who they currently are. So the more you encourage, the more their resistance actually grows in equal measure. And this resistance, it's not just them being stubborn, it's rooted in pure fear. When they see those punishing, intimidating workouts online, or face the crushing anxiety of relapsing and what people will think of them, their self-esteem is quietly getting chipped away. It creates this incredibly heavy psychological burden where they start to believe, deep down, that they simply can't do it. And here's the really hard truth. Your simple words of encouragement literally cannot fix that profound loss of self-esteem.
Moving right along to section 2, the weight of information, or when our helpful tips become harmful pressure.
We know encouragement can trigger mental breaks, but what about hard facts? You've absolutely been here. You're browsing online, you find a link to a super affordable personal gym or a highly effective workout app. You share it with your partner out of pure love, thinking, boom, I just solved their problem. And then they completely shut down. They might even get defensive or angry. Your helpful hint landed like a lead balloon. Why on earth does that happen? Well, because when you provide information to someone whose mental brakes are already slammed down, it doesn't empower them at all. It acts as a psychological wall of new pressure. To them, that gym link isn't a golden opportunity. It's a glaring reminder of what they aren't doing. Because you likely can't go to the gym with them every single day to hold their hand, throwing information at them actually makes them feel incredibly isolated. It deepens that loss of self-esteem because it completely ignores their root fear of failure. They didn't lack the information, they lacked the psychological safety to act on it.
Which brings us to section 3, the mirror of good intentions. This is where we have to face our own self-centered kindness. To truly understand how to fix this dynamic, we kind of have to hold up a mirror to ourselves. We need to look at how our own egos get tangled up in the very meals we share with the people we love. Think about a time you cooked a huge meal for your partner or a friend. If you've ever cooked a heavy, rich, highly flavored meal just to see that huge smile on their face and an empty plate at the end of the night, you have to ask yourself a tough question. Who were you really trying to satisfy? It's a tough pill to swallow, but sometimes our well-meaning desire to see them smile with their favorite unhealthy foods might actually be a self-centered kindness. We're prioritizing our immediate joy of seeing them happy over their long-term health. Our love is actually burdening their physical well-being. We treat dining out as a special exception, enabling them to eat heavy foods, which ultimately just derails their habits until a doctor has to step in with a serious diagnosis, like hypertension or obesity, as a very real wake-up call. All right, let's pivot to the solution in section 4, the shared table, empathy in action through everyday meals.
So how do we shift from being an accidental burden to becoming a true pillar of psychological safety? The source material uses this incredible metaphor that really stuck with me. It explains that eating the exact same meal together, even if it's greasy takeout or sweets, communicates absolute acceptance and shared pain far better than any encouraging words ever could. It's an act of intimacy. You're basically saying, I am with you right here in this moment eating exactly what you're eating. It completely removes the toxic dynamic of you being the healthy coach and them being the failing dieter.
And that leads right into our final section, the organic transformation. Change guided by restored self-esteem. So how do we actually put this into practice organically at our own dining tables? First, you eat their favorite foods together completely without judgment. No deep sighs, no side eyes at their slice of pizza. You just share the meal. Then you start to alternate. One day you eat at their pace with their food, and the next day you simply ask them to join you in your healthy style of eating. By doing this, you stop making their favorite foods the villain. You start building a foundation of deep trust where they don't feel judged for where they are right now.
When you accept them exactly where they are, it gives them this incredible mental breathing room they desperately need. By dropping the fight against their diet, they can finally separate their eating habits from their core personality. They realize, hey, I'm not a bad person just because I'm struggling with my weight. This stops the toxic cycle of self-blame and finally gives them the mental space to accept their current body.
And here's the magic of it all. Once their self-esteem is protected and all that external pressure is completely off, things start to shift. When they feel relaxed and accepted, they'll naturally start suggesting healthier restaurants, or maybe they'll express a desire to cook with better ingredients completely on their own. The motivation actually comes from inside them, not from a gym link you texted them on a Tuesday. Now, I know taking the time to remove their internal psychological breaks through shared meals might feel like a huge detour. It feels slow, right? But forcing change is basically like compressing a spring. It causes major pushback and an inevitable rebound. Sharing the table, on the other hand, builds self-esteem and creates lasting habits. Honestly, it's the most effective shortcut you have to preventing a diet rebound.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Take a hard look at your own actions. When the people we love need us the most, true support doesn't always look like a cheerleader or a personal trainer. Sometimes the absolute most powerful thing you can do to help someone change their life is to simply sit next to them, share their meal, and let them know they are entirely safe with you.